Okay, so you're planning a wedding. Congrats. It's such a whirlwind of excitement. But amidst all the dress fittings and the cake tastings, there's a not so fun side we need to talk about.
Yeah.
Wedding planner scams.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yep, unfortunately, scammers are out there trying to exploit the chaos and big budgets that come with saying, I do.
Absolutely. It's
Yeah.
really unfortunate, but yeah, you've hit the nail on the head. These scams prey on the emotional vulnerability of couples,
Yeah.
during this incredibly special time. They know you're likely juggling a million things and might not be as cautious as you normally would be.
Right, exactly. So for this deep dive, we've got a stack of research and news articles about exactly how these scams work, the latest tricks they're using, and most importantly, how to protect yourself. So what's the first thing people should understand about how these scams actually unfold?
Well, forget the image of shady characters in back alleys. Today's wedding planner scams are often incredibly sophisticated. They might even start with a seemingly innocent referral from a friend or a sponsored post that pops up on your social media feed.
Oh, wow, a referral from a friend. I wouldn't even think twice about that.
That's the scary part. These scammers are masters of disguise. They create elaborate websites, use stolen photos of real events, and even generate fake online reviews using AI. It's all designed to build a veneer of legitimacy and lull you into a false sense of security.
So you might think you're dealing with a seasoned professional with years of experience, when in reality it's just a digital facade.
Precisely. And that's why it's so important to look beyond the surface and dig deeper. For example, have they won any local awards? Are they affiliated with a reputable organization like the Association of Bridal Consultants? These are things that are much harder to fake.
That's a great point. I'm adding that to my mental checklist right now. But let's say a scammer has managed to create this convincing online presence. What happens next? How do they actually reel people in?
Often, it starts with an irresistible offer. Think deeply discounted packages, unrealistic promises, or even claiming to have worked with A-list celebrities. It's the classic too good to be true scenario. But when you're swept up in wedding planning, it's easy to get caught up in the excitement.
Right, especially when you're comparing quotes and trying to stick to a budget. You might see a price that's hundreds or even thousands of dollars lower than others and think you've hit the jackpot.
Exactly. And that's when the pressure tactics come in. They might tell you the offer is only valid for a limited time, or that they have another couple who's very interested in your date. It's all designed to create a sense of urgency and bypass your rational decision-making.
Wow, so they're playing on both your emotions and your desire to get a good deal.
Precisely. And once you've made that initial deposit, that's when things can really start to go downhill. The communication might drop off. They might start making excuses for why things aren't getting done, or in some cases, they simply disappear altogether.
Oh, wow. And that's when the nightmare scenario hits. You're left scrambling for a new planner just weeks or even days before your wedding. And you've potentially lost thousands of dollars.
Exactly. It's a heartbreaking situation, and it highlights the importance of being informed and proactive from the very beginning.
Okay, so let's talk about those red flags, the warning signs. That should make you think twice about a potential wedding planner.
One of the biggest red flags is a lack of verifiable credentials. Um, it's one thing to say you're a certified wedding planner, but can they actually provide proof of that certification? Are they registered with any professional organizations? Or do they have any legitimate industry awards? These are the things you need to be looking for.
So don't just take their word for it, actually verify their claims.
Absolutely. Another major red flag is inconsistent or evasive communication. If they're slow to respond to your emails, dodge your questions, or change their story frequently, that's a clear sign that something's not right. And pay close attention to their communication style. Does it feel pushy, rushed, or manipulative?
It's like they're trying to steamroll you into making a decision before you have time to think things through.
Exactly. And that brings us to another major red flag. High-pressure sales tactics. If they're constantly bombarding you with limited-time offers, telling you they're picking up fast or trying to guilt you into signing a contract, those are major warning signs.
So if you feel like you're being rushed or pressured, that's a huge signal to take a step back and reevaluate the situation.
Absolutely. Remember, a reputable planner will be patient, understanding, and willing to answer all of your questions thoroughly and honestly.
Okay, so we've talked about some of the big red flags, but I'm sure there are more subtle warning signs that people might miss. What are some things that might not scream scam at first glance, but should still make you pause and do a bit more digging?
Well, one thing to watch out for is a lack of transparency about their pricing and contract terms. Do they have a clear pricing structure outlined on their website? Or do they give you vague estimates and avoid putting things in writing?
I can see how that could be a slippery slope. They might lure you in with a low initial quote, then start adding on hidden fees later on.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to get everything in writing from the very beginning. A detailed contract that outlines all services, fees, and payment terms is absolutely essential.
So even if they seem charming and professional, don't skip that crucial contract step.
Absolutely. Another thing to pay close attention to is their online presence. Does their website look professional and up to date? Are their social media accounts active and engaging? Do they have a consistent brand identity across all platforms?
Right, because if their online presence is sloppy or inconsistent, that could be a sign that they're not as established or professional as they claim to be.
Exactly. And don't forget to scrutinize those online reviews. While some fake reviews can be quite sophisticated, there are still some telltale signs that can help you spot them.
Like what? What should people be looking for?
Well, for starters, look for reviews that are overly generic or use similar language. If multiple reviews use the exact same phrases or sound too good to be true, that's a red flag. Also, pay attention to the dates of the reviews. If they're all clustered around the same time period, that could be a sign that they were artificially generated.
So a mix of positive and negative reviews spread out over time is a good sign.
Exactly. And look for reviews that provide specific details about the planner services and how they handle different situations. The more detailed and personalized the reviews, the more likely they are to be genuine.
So it's not just about the quantity of reviews, but the quality and authenticity of the feedback.
Precisely. And don't be afraid to do a bit of digging beyond the planner's website and social media accounts. Do a Google search for their name and see what comes up. Are there any news articles, forum discussions, or blog posts that mention them?
That's a great tip. You can often uncover a lot of valuable information by doing a bit of independent research.
Exactly. And finally, one of the most important things is to trust your instincts. If something feels off, even if you can't quite put your finger on it, don't ignore that feeling.
I love that advice. It's so simple, yet so powerful. Our intuition is often our best guide in these situations.
It really is. Don't be afraid to ask tough questions,
Mm.
challenge their claims,
Mhm.
and walk away if you're not comfortable with the situation. It's your wedding, and you deserve to work with a planner who you trust and feel good about.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. And I know it can feel overwhelming to keep track of all these red flags. Is there a way to simplify the process of vetting a potential wedding planner?
Absolutely. One of the most effective ways to protect yourself is to start by narrowing your search to planners who are affiliated with reputable professional organizations.
Right. I think you mentioned the Association of Bridal Consultants earlier. What are some other organizations that people should be looking for?
There are several great ones out there, such as the Wedding International Professionals Association, the National Association of Wedding Professionals, and the American Association of Certified Wedding Planners. These organizations have strict membership requirements, codes of ethics, and often provide continuing education resources for their members.
So it's kind of like a stamp of approval that gives you a higher level of confidence in their professionalism and ethical standards.
Exactly. It's not a foolproof guarantee, but it's a strong indicator that the planner takes their profession seriously and is committed to upholding industry standards.
That's incredibly helpful. I'm definitely going to be filtering my search based on those affiliations. But even if a planner is part of a reputable organization, it's still crucial to do your due diligence and check their credentials, right?
Absolutely. Membership in a professional organization is a great starting point,
Hmm.
but it's still essential to verify their individual credentials, experience, and track record.
Okay, so we've talked about the red flags, the importance of trusting your gut, and the value of professional affiliations. Let's dive deeper into the contract stage because I know that's where a lot of people get tripped up. What are the absolute must-haves in a wedding planner contract?
Yeah, a solid contract that is your wedding planning armor. Plain and simple. Think of it as a roadmap that clearly outlines the journey you and your planner will take together.
Ooh, I love that. It removes any guesswork and ensures everyone's on the same page from the very beginning. So what kind of details should this roadmap include?
First and foremost, it should meticulously detail the services the planner will provide. We're talking everything from vendor recommendations and contract negotiations to budget management and timeline creation. If a specific service isn't explicitly stated in the contract, don't assume it's included.
Okay, so if you're envisioning them handling things like RSVP tracking or designing your seating chart, those need to be spelled out in black and white.
Absolutely. Leaving things open to interpretation can lead to misunderstandings and disputes down the line. And speaking of clarity, the contract should also clearly define the payment terms. This includes the total cost, the payment schedule, and any potential late fees.
Right, because you don't want any surprises popping up when it comes to finances.
Exactly. And while we all hope for the best, it's also essential to address the what-ifs by including cancellation policies for both you and the planner. Life throws curveballs, and having a clear understanding of what happens if someone needs to back out is crucial.
Right, so if you need to change plans or the planner has an unexpected issue, the contract outlines how to handle things fairly.
Precisely. And to add another layer of protection, the contract should address liability and insurance. It should explicitly state that the planner have adequate liability insurance to cover any potential damages or accidents that might occur during the planning process or on the wedding day itself.
That's something I wouldn't have even thought about. So it's not just about protecting yourself financially, but also from any unforeseen mishaps.
Exactly. It's all about mitigating risk and ensuring that everyone involved is protected. Now, while all of these details are crucial, the most important piece of advice I can offer is to read the contract thoroughly before signing it. Don't just skim through it. Take your time. Dissect each clause. And if there's anything you don't understand or feel uncomfortable with, don't hesitate to ask for clarification.
Right, it's easy to get swept up in the excitement and just want to sign on the dotted line. But you're right, being meticulous with the contract can save you a lot of headaches later.
Absolutely. Remember, this document is a legally binding agreement, so you want to make sure you fully understand and agree to all of its terms. And on that note, let's talk about another critical aspect of the hiring process: communication.
Yes, it's one thing to have a solid contract in place. But what about the day-to-day interactions? What kind of communication style should couples be looking for in a potential wedding planner?
Open, transparent, and responsive communication is absolutely key. You want a planner who's proactive in keeping you informed, readily answers your questions, and addresses any concerns promptly and professionally.
Okay, so if they're slow to respond to emails or phone calls, that's a red flag.
It could be. While everyone has busy periods, consistent communication should be a top priority for any wedding planner. If you feel like you're constantly chasing them down for updates or explanations, that's not a good sign.
And what about the content of their communication? Are there any specific things couples should pay attention to?
Well, a good planner will be transparent about their processes, their recommendations, and any potential challenges that arise. They'll explain their reasoning, seek your input, and make sure you feel comfortable and informed throughout the entire journey.
So it's not just about staying in touch, but also about the quality and transparency of the information they're sharing.
Precisely. You want a planner who keeps you in the loop, explains things clearly, and welcomes your feedback. And speaking of communication styles, there's one particular red flag to watch out for: high-pressure tactics.
Right. We touched on this earlier, but I think it's worth diving deeper. How do those pressure tactics manifest in the communication with a potential planner?
Scammers will often use manipulative language to try to rush you into a decision. They might bombard you with limited-time offers, claim that other couples are vying for your date, or try to guilt you into signing a contract by saying things like, "We've already put so much work into your proposal."
Right, it's almost like they're trying to create a sense of panic, so you'll sign without thinking it through.
Exactly. They want to bypass your rational decision-making process and get you to commit before you have a chance to fully evaluate the situation.
So what's the best way to handle those pressure tactics?
Stand your ground and don't let anyone rush you. A simple and polite: "Thank you for your time, but I need to discuss this with my partner before making a decision," can often diffuse the situation. A reputable planner will understand and respect your need to take your time.
That's a great reminder. It's your wedding, and you have the right to make decisions at your own pace. Now, I know we've talked a lot about red flags and potential pitfalls, but let's shift gears a bit and talk about some positive indicators, things that suggest you might have found a real gem of a wedding planner.
Absolutely. A great wedding planner will not only possess the technical skills and organizational prowess, but will also demonstrate certain qualities that go beyond spreadsheets and timelines.
Okay, like what kind of qualities?
Well, first and foremost, they should be a good listener. They'll take the time to understand your vision, your style, your priorities, and your budget. They'll ask insightful questions and genuinely care about creating a wedding that reflects your unique personalities and dreams.
So it's not just about them dictating what your wedding should be, but about collaborating with you to bring your vision to life.
Exactly. They'll offer their expertise and guidance, but ultimately they'll respect your decisions and work with you to create a celebration that's truly yours.
That makes sense. What other qualities should couples be looking for?
Um, Creativity and problem-solving skills are essential. A great planner will think outside the box, come up with innovative solutions, and be able to handle any unexpected challenges that arise with grace and efficiency. They'll have backup plans for their backup plans and keep things running smoothly no matter what curveballs are thrown their way.
So they're not just organizers, but also creative thinkers and problem solvers.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And let's not forget about the importance of strong communication and interpersonal skills. A good planner will be able to communicate effectively with you, your families, your vendors, and everyone involved in the wedding planning process. They'll be diplomatic, tactful, and able to navigate potentially sensitive situations with ease.
So they're kind of like the ultimate mediators and peacemakers, making sure everyone's happy and on the same page.
Exactly. They'll smooth out any bumps in the road, keep the communication flowing, and ensure that everyone involved feels heard and respected. And beyond those practical skills, a great planner will also bring a positive energy and enthusiasm to the process. They'll be genuinely excited about your wedding, sharing your joy, and help you navigate the ups and downs of planning with a smile on their face.
Oh, that's nice. So it's not just about checking tasks off a list, but about creating a positive and enjoyable experience for everyone involved.
Absolutely. Planning a wedding should be a fun and memorable journey, and a great planner will be right there with you, cheering you on every step of the way.
That's a wonderful way to think about it. It makes the whole process feel so much less daunting. Now, I know we've covered a lot of ground here, from red flags to positive indicators, and it's clear that finding the right wedding planner is a crucial step in creating your dream wedding. But what happens if, despite your best efforts, you find yourself facing the unfortunate reality of having been scammed? Yeah, it's the absolute worst case scenario, but unfortunately it does happen. Even with all the research and precautions, some couples still fall victim to these heartless scammers. So let's talk about the steps you can take if you find yourself in this situation. It's not easy, but knowledge is power, even when dealing with something as devastating as a wedding planner scam.
You're right. It's crucial to have a plan of action, even though it's a situation no one wants to be in. The first and most important step is to document everything.
Okay, but what does document everything actually entail? We're talking about more than just the signed contract, right?
Yeah. Right, think of it as building a case file. Gather every single piece of evidence you can. Emails, text messages, voicemails, invoices, receipts, even screenshots of online conversations. Don't overlook anything, even if it seems insignificant at the time.
And what about those gut feelings we talked about earlier? Should those be documented too?
Absolutely. Write down those red flags you noticed. Those moments where something felt off or promises that were broken. Detail any inconsistencies in their communication or behavior. This kind of documentation can be incredibly helpful when dealing with authorities or trying to build a case.
So you're essentially creating a timeline of events and highlighting those warning signs that in hindsight might have been missed.
Exactly. Having a clear, organized record of everything that transpired will make the process much smoother and strengthen your position.
Okay, so you've got your evidence file assembled. What's the next step?
Contact your bank or credit card company immediately. Report the fraud and inquire about the possibility of initiating a chargeback. The sooner you act, the better your chances of recovering at least some of your funds.
That makes sense. Time is of the essence in these situations. But what about holding the scammer accountable? What role do law enforcement and consumer protection agencies play?
Reporting the scam to the authorities is crucial. Even if you're not sure if you'll get your money back, file a police report with your local law enforcement agency. And be sure to provide them with all the evidence you've compiled.
It can feel intimidating to involve the police, especially when you're dealing with the emotional stress of being scammed. But I imagine these reports are vital in tracking down these scammers and preventing them from targeting others.
Absolutely. Your report might be the piece of the puzzle that helps build a larger case against them. In addition to the police, report the scam to relevant consumer protection agencies, like the Federal Trade Commission or your state's Attorney General's office. These agencies have resources and expertise in handling fraud cases and might be able to offer additional support.
So you're casting a wide net, hoping to get the word out and increase the chances of some kind of action being taken against the scammer.
Exactly. And don't underestimate the power of sharing your experience online. While it's essential to stick to the facts and avoid making defamatory statements, posting reviews on wedding-related websites or sharing your story on social media can help warn other couples. and potentially prevent them from falling victim to the same scam.
It's about turning a negative experience into a positive force for change.
Precisely. By speaking out, you can empower others to be more vigilant and contribute to a safer wedding planning community. Now, if the financial losses are significant, or if you're facing legal challenges as a result of the scam, it might be wise to consult with an attorney who specializes in contract law or consumer protection.
So even if you filed reports and contacted your bank, seeking legal advice can provide another layer of support and guidance.
Absolutely. An attorney can assess your specific situation, advise you on your legal options, and help you navigate the complexities of the legal system. They can also help you understand your rights and potentially pursue legal action against the scammer.
Okay, so we've covered the practical steps. But what about the emotional toll? Being scammed, especially during such a special time, can be incredibly stressful and disheartening.
It absolutely can. It's crucial to acknowledge those feelings of anger, betrayal, and frustration. Don't try to bottle them up. Talk to your partner, your family, or your friends. Consider seeking support from a therapist if you need help processing what happened and developing coping mechanisms.
It's a reminder that this goes beyond just financial loss. It's an emotional violation as well.
Exactly. It's important to allow yourself time and space to heal and to remember that you're not alone. Sadly, these scams are more common than people realize, but by sharing our stories and supporting each other, we can create a more informed and resilient community.
That's such an important message. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the key takeaway you want our listeners to remember?
Knowledge is your best defense. By being informed, staying vigilant, and trusting your instincts, you can significantly reduce your risk of becoming a victim. And if the worst does happen, remember that there are resources available to help you navigate the situation and reclaim your power.
Beautifully said. Don't let the fear of scams overshadow the joy and excitement of planning your wedding. With a bit of caution and a whole lot of heart, you can create the celebration of your dreams, scam-free.
Exactly. Focus on the love, the joy, and the magic of this special time. And remember, we're always here to support you on your wedding planning journey.
That's it for our deep dive into wedding planner scams. We hope this episode has been informative and empowering. Stay vigilant, stay informed, and most importantly, happy planning.